Welcome out to the farm. I'm Jesse Cannon. Today we're going to be taking a look at my CZ75 P01 Omega, and I liked it so much, the gun I bought after I liked this one so much, the CZ Custom A01 C. So these guns, I was on a concealed carry journey, right, with a SIG P365, and just some of the headlines I've seen involving SIG started getting me a little bit concerned about pointing things at myself while carrying appendix, and whether or not they would go off after being bumped in the holster, whatever it is. So I started looking at options for that, and one of the things that I saw years ago from Tim from Military Arms Channel, and then it popped back into my head, and I kind of went, yeah, I'm going to buy one of those, was this CZ 75 P01 Omega. Now I'm left-handed, so you're going to look at this side of the gun. But the part that really was good for this, for me, is that because I'm left-handed, the Omega allows the ambidextrous controls here with the decocker. Now the Omega series pistol, this can be a decocker, or it can be switched out to be a manual safety only, but then you don't have a decocker. So I kept it in the decocker configuration. I did reverse. If you look here, this is a reversible magazine release. So I did reverse this. I guess this is the same system as they have inside with the P07 and the P09 series now. But I reversed this, and I changed the grips out so I didn't have the fat rubber grips with the palm swells. And I thought, well, this is just about right. You know, this thing is just a hair over 28 ounces unloaded, without the light, of course. And I really liked it. And so finding a holster with a light-bearing holster was a little bit of a challenge. But I did find one from Legacy Firearms Company. And I got that, and I started carrying it. And originally I had a TLR7, and I had the side buttons on there. And one day I was carrying it, and I thought, wow, I am really hot. I am getting burned. And I couldn't figure out what was going on for a while. I thought maybe my holster was just poking me. No, the light had inadvertently been turned on and was cooking me. So I did have to take the TLR7 off and go to the TLR7A with the rear buttons here. If you could see that, these have these rear switches here. So I did go to that. I haven't had that problem since, but that was a learning experience for me, and it was a very hot learning experience in an area that doesn't take a whole lot of heat to learn. So I did really enjoy this gun, but as I had the gun, I found that the trigger out of the box was absolutely terrible in my opinion. Okay, now some people are fine with bad triggers. I am not. Now this is loaded with a snap cap, and so we're going to press the trigger and hear a click. But what I did then is I switched this out for the Cajun Gunworks trigger kit, and I'm here to tell you now it is between 7 and 8 pounds on double action. Single action was actually under 3. And if you look here, just right here, if you can get in right here on that trigger, you see right there, we have the trigger stop. And so I set that myself to eliminate the over travel. So there's not much at all. And so this trigger now is super sweet. The only problem is apparently the small pistol primers had been kind of hard to find here and there. And so some companies were using small rifle primers. Now, because we changed some springs out, I did run into some light strike issues. I've had one light strike with this gun, but I've not had that with Federal ammunition. I didn't notice that they were maybe having that problem with the primers, but some of the other brands, I did have that problem, so we had to square that away. But otherwise, this has been a great gun, and so while we were sitting here talking about it, maybe we should just throw a couple of rounds in here. And we're back at 25 yards today is where we're going to be operating with these semi-automatics. I'm going to do some revolvers here in a bit. But this gun has been great. And one of the things that I really liked is when you would go to holster this gun and you're running an appendix carry rig, you can throw your thumb down over this holster, over this hammer rather, so that when you go to actually chamber, right, you fired your sequence of fire, we can decock, put your doggone thumb over the hammer, and then you can holster. And that's a big deal when you're out training, okay? Because when you're out training, you start to do things and you're working your repetitions, your draw stroke, you're constantly going back into the holster. So let's fire and see kind of how we do here. See if I can hit anything at 25 today. When you're working that, it's easy then to get a t-shirt or something like that. Oh, hit the head. There we go. There we go. So it's easy then when you go back to the holster that maybe you get a t-shirt in there or something, especially when it's colder. So that's a concern, and you just don't want to have anything shooting down in your femorals or your manhood. So this gun's been absolutely awesome. I've really liked it. I cannot figure out if it was Meprolite or Ameriglow sights, but I put these sights on here. You can see down the sights there, and they're all right. I like them. I thought I would be able to pick them up quicker than I actually am, but I mean, as far as what they had on the gun initially, that luminescent paint, it's much better than that. That's a great gun. This has become my absolute darling. This is the nicest, by far, the nicest gun I own. This gun is a CZ Custom A01 C, and it is not actually a CZ. They're not affiliated with CZ. They are their own company, and this is manufactured in Arizona. All right, now this gun, you're gonna have to come in here and get this, but now there's some oil because it's a steel on steel gun. This thing is a beefcake. It's over 40 ounces as it sits, but this is all flush back here, right? This was all done by hand fitted. We have a bull barrel. I mean, look at that. It's cut flush and cut straight. It is absolutely fantastic. Now the thing is, and you guys aren't going to be able to do this. I mean, if you could put your finger over my finger maybe and feel the trigger, you know, but we can't actually do that. It's not a real thing. But what ends up happening here is this trigger, so I had to work with that Cajun Gunworks trigger. This thing is even better. It's even smoother. There's even less over travel because they set all this up at the factory. And so we're coming in right at about 3 pounds on single, and the double action here was under 8 pounds, right at around 7. And I checked that with my trigger gauge just before coming out. I guess YouTube's getting upset about hair triggers or something. So either way, and this one takes the P07 magazines, but they have a different base plate. If you look here, and this is one of the things I really like with this gun, is it's like Glock 19 size, but actually just a touch shorter than the 75 Omega. But when you come into here, I've actually pinched myself once, but that just kind of finishes out with that magazine right there. Okay, with their base pads. But those are metal base pads. I have a couple of them that I took to an IDPA match. Got a little bit of scuffs on them from the rocks, but no big deal. Those are my comp setups. So we'll go ahead and throw some rounds out here, but while we're doing that, the only downside with that gun is it is steel frame, steel slide, fat steel bull barrel, okay? The nice part with that gun is it shoots great if I can shoot it well, because I shake. But it's heavy. It's just very heavy. So with my duty loads, or my carry loads, I should say, I'm retired now, I don't have duty loads. With that, it was 51 ounces. Can you imagine that? 51 ounces in this thing. So, you know, that's dressed out with the TLR-7A. Again, I learned that lesson from the TLR-7, right? So I put a TLR-7A on here. I love this Trijicon RMR HD. That's been awesome. But this guy has been really nice. Now, one of the things I did notice when I took this to an IDPA match is they were having me put the hammer down completely instead of the half cock. Normally I keep it at the half cock notch for carry, but I'm going to put it just how I had the IDPA. So I'm going to pinch the hammer. I'm going to work that all the way down. And so if you were to pop the back of that hammer right now, it's going to go bang. Okay, but I will get a full trigger squeeze, and let's see at 25 if I can go ahead and land my first hit here. Yeah. So the wife made a comment about this gun. She said, it's like cheating. And it really is. I mean, the gun shoots amazing. There are a couple of drawbacks for this, you know. So you get a gun that's this tight, you're gonna have a couple of drawbacks. And one of those drawbacks, when they machine things to great tolerance, and when they hand fit things, one of the problems you're gonna have, and they put light springs in there so you get a wonderful trigger. One of the things that you might have, if you go ahead and look down here, I'll show you guys this bull barrel. One of the things you might have then is it doesn't like hard primers. So if you were to run even NATO spec Winchester ammo, see the barrel, you cannot lift it out this way, all right? You got to take the barrel out the front. But look at that big old barrel. Now, he's got a little heat to him, but not too much. But this thing, guys, it shoots amazing. And whether you realize it or not, if you go out there and search on the internet, so on the YouTubes for this A01C, what you're going to notice is there's not a whole lot of content out there on them. So they make these things to order to the point that you can get a square trigger guard, you can have this rounded trigger guard, you can get different finishes, you can get all sorts of whatever you want. The trouble is they're expensive, okay? Now this one is the ProTech model, and when I ordered it, it just so happened to be available. You got to line up that notch there. There, we're good to go there. And so they had one available on the website, and I want to say, I'll give you the dates here when I ordered it. I want to say I ordered it, looks like February 16th, and I didn't get it till June 16th, 2023. And so I had to wait a little while, but that was because they had to mill it out for the optic. Now, this is set up for an RMR, not an RMR HD. Obviously, the RMR HD works on here, but you end up with this kind of ugly hole right here, which CZ Custom said they're aware of, and they were going to work on that, but they haven't let me know that they have that available yet. But when they do, we're definitely going to plug that up. But otherwise, guys, this is a wonderful gun. It fits so well in your hand. And originally what I set out for was something like a Staccato, but Staccato hates lefties because none of their magazine releases are reversible. So Staccato, I could love you if you'd love me back. But I found this guy and I went for it, and it's an awesome gun. Super expensive though. I mean, this guy, the ProTech model, without having them do any work to the ProTech, just to the iron sights, I mean, it was at the time in 2023, it was 32, 39 and 20 cents. So, you know, that's $3,200 gun. But I tell you, it's like cheating. So out here at Holly Rock Farm, we'd like you to like, share, and subscribe. We've got more coming. Let me know what you want to see. I've got revolvers. I've got other CZ-P10C if you want to check that out. Kind of going on a kick here. So let me know what you want to see next. Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for coming out, y'all.